Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to our Springtime Herald Cooking Masterclass presented by Capsicum, Checkers and Three Peaks Wines. I hope you have all your ingredients ready for this delicious strawberry Swiss roll with Chantilly cream. 20 lucky participants stand a chance to win a bottle of Three Peaks wine and a branded chef apron, all compliments of Three Peaks. I will now hand you over to Chef Nadia and Chef Donovan in the kitchen. I hope you have a great time during this virtual event, and thank you once again for joining us.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Herald Masterclass with Capsicum Culinary Studio, Checkers and Three Peaks Wine. So today we'll be doing a patterned Swiss roll with a cream filling and fruit of your choice. We've selected berries and lychee, coriander, so just a variety just to show you what you can do as a filling. And then I will hand over to Chef Donovan.
Hi, like you said, I'm Chef Donovan. Welcome back to our kitchen. Today we're going to show you how to make Swiss roll, but not the boring old Swiss roll you buy every Sunday. This time we're going to show you how to draw a pattern on Swiss roll and then bake it that way. So by now you guys would have had the ingredients list. I've got with me 10 whole eggs. Remember, this Swiss roll makes a big Swiss roll pan. So if you've got a smaller Swiss roll pan, just half the recipe should be fine. So like I said, 10 eggs, 250 grams of caster sugar, and then 250 grams of self-rising flour. So the first thing we're going to do, get a pot of water on. That is for double boiling. So double boiling there, what happens is if you are working with eggs, anything that you're making like custards and things like that, you need to protect the eggs from the extreme heat. So we're going to double boil by putting a bowl over a pot of boiling water. Make sure that the water does not touch the actual bowl. So first thing I'm going to do is add my eggs. That's whole eggs, sugar. At this stage, I always tell my students, don't walk away from your sugar if you've added from your eggs if you've added sugar. Because what sugar does to eggs, it actually burns the top of the eggs and it dries it out, right? And that's when you get that crusty feeling in your cakes and your sponges. Okay. So just a bit of whisking there.
So we use caustic sugar instead of normal white granulated sugar.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between the two?
Weight difference and volume is not, there's no difference. But it's just a finer version, which means it melts faster, and that is why. This is a high ratio cake and it bakes very quickly. So we want the sugars to actually dissolve faster. This is hard work. I've chosen to use the balloon whisk and whisk by hand to show you that you can do it at home, right? No fancy machines. Okay.
And then if you did have a hand whisk, it would definitely go a lot faster.
It will go a lot faster, guys. What I want to do is I basically want to just heat up the bowl. Right? I think in the recipe, it will tell you a couple of degrees Celsius, but basically you just want the bowl to heat up, and that is to stabilize and warm up the egg.
Okay. The heat also adds increase to volume as well, Chef?
Yes. So what basically happens with the double boiler, the egg slightly coagulates, and that creates more volume. Remember that we are going to rely a lot on the egg to actually rise your product. Okay.
And then what stage would we want our egg and sugar before taking it off the heat?
Okay, before taking it off the heat, you want your egg and your sugar to go to a pale color. Right? And we're slowly reaching that stage now.
Okay. So it should be foaming up. Okay, so the foaming also shows you the doneness of your mixture.
Yeah. So it's a good indicator that your egg is coming to where you want it.
This seems to be very quiet. So can you guys please send in questions to us? Or are you busy baking?
Okay. Just a quick tip. One of the viewers actually phoned me early on today and said, I must remind you guys to turn your oven on while we are busy, right? So that when it goes to the oven, you are ready to bake your sponge. Okay, so I think I've got a nice pale color, right? It's nice and foamy and brought together. At this stage, I'm just going to whisk until ribbon stage.
You also want your mixture to cool down a little bit before adding any of the flour to the mixture.
Okay.
Chef, would you add any flavorings or essence to this mixture just to add, or would you just go with the vanilla sponge?
Okay, so traditionally it will be your vanilla essence. The sponge itself doesn't have to have a particular flavor. But I did tell my viewers that we're going to make this fun, right? So the sponge that I made earlier, I made an essence of cardamom and rose water, right? I wanted to go for more of the Indian sort of flavors, or it reminds you of all those sweet meats. And that is why I infused my sponge with that flavor. So you can play around with the flavor. If you like almonds, you can add almond essence. If you like vanilla, you can add vanilla.
Some of our viewers is having load shedding at the moment.
So it's a good thing.
Guys, that you can actually view the video once we are done, and you can actually cook along with us after your load shedding.
I should have asked you for a mixer, Chefy.
Red hot chili peppers, your oven temperature should be at 220 degrees. The higher the temperature, the faster it bakes, because this is a sponge cake. So you want extreme heat so that your baking can get done a lot faster.
There's always a rule in our kitchen as well, guys. The quicker the bake, the higher the temperature and the higher the baking rack. So you should place your rack towards the top of the oven because it's basically a 12-minute bake. If it's a fruit cake and things that takes hours, you will lower the temperature and then set it in the oven for a longer time. I think I'm quite close there. Okay. Right. So ribbon stage, basically, when you read that passage in any recipe, right? When you pull up your whisk there should be no strands and strings. It should run, or it should flow straight from your whisk into the bowl. And that is what they mean by a ribbon stage.
And then the more you whisk, the lighter your mixture will go. That's fine. If you really want a nice pale color, and that will contribute to your cake as well. Give it that nice pale straw color that normal Swiss rolls come in.
I'm sure some are complaining there that their arms are getting very tired.
Yes, probably. It's a good workout. You do not need to gym.
If you do this for years, you grow a couple of muscles, right? But I've also got a trick. And this, if there are any carpenters or any builders there, your force is normally the front, right? So you want to put your hand towards the back of the whisk. In that way, you're exerting less pressure here, and you're making the whisk work for you, right? I don't know if you guys can see, but our mixture is quite thick and pale now. Hope everyone's on track.
They're very quiet.
They're whisking.
They're focusing.
They're whisking. Okay. Because we've got a stabilizer, guys, I don't know if you saw the natural thing that we do in the kitchen is knock the whisk on the side of the bowl. If this was going to be an egg foam only, you do not want to do that because you're relying on the oxygen inside the egg bubbles to actually make your cake rise, right? Okay. So now we're going to add the flour. We don't dunk the flour in all at once because now we're going to use the folding technique, right? So the easiest way to do that is to spread probably like half of the flour on the top. You want nothing to sink to the bottom because then it's going to be more difficult to fold, right?
And then Chef Donovan, why would we fold in our flour instead of whisking?
Remember that air that we incorporated in there, we don't want it to go flat. So the heavier the flour, the more bubbles will burst. And then folding also takes care of all the flour that's at the bottom of the bowl.
Then just a tip, for those of you that do not have self-raising flour, you can use normal flour. Then you would just add baking powder to it. So your normal 250 grams of flour and a teaspoon of baking powder.
And basically that's the difference between self-raising flour and your straight cake flour. It is just raising agent added to make it easier for you. Okay, Chef, so I look in my cupboard and I can't find any baking powder. I don't have self-raising flour, but I've got the flour and I've got some other ingredients there. How can I make my own baking powder?
Okay, so baking powder is basically scientific. So if you have some bicarbonate of soda and cream of tartar, they're both very cost effective. What you would do to get that teaspoon is a quarter teaspoon of cream of tartar, along with a half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, and that would give you your baking powder.
Okay. And if you've got bigger ratios in your recipe, just remember that the one is an acid and the other one's an alkali. So acid is our cream of tartar, right? So that's Chef Nadia said a quarter teaspoon, and then double that amount of bicarb. So if it is that you're using a tablespoon, you will also use the same ratio.
So a lot of our viewers will be baking later. So please send us pictures of your Swiss rolls. We would love to see them, give you some feedback. We haven't seen any pasta pics lately.
No, we want pictures.
Share anything with us. So please share, guys. This is a really fun recipe. You can do it with your family. You can incorporate your own ingredients into your filling. And I'm sure that some people prefer a jam filling or a cream filling. So whatever you like, you can always just add it to the filling of your Swiss roll.
Yeah. Okay. So if you've got an electric beater on Sunday, this is a quick and easy dessert to make. No need to run and buy those boring dry Swiss rolls. This one you've made from scratch there, and you're going to take extra care mixing in your flour and your sugar. So I've got my mix ready, right? It should be light and foamy. It's going to be a loose looking batter. Today we're doing it slightly different. Usually you'll just put this into your pan. Today we're going to separate our batter into colors. Right. Chef Nadia, can you get us up to speed there?
Okay, so I've already mixed in my colors and I've already lined my tray. So Chef Donovan can keep this batter.
Sure.
Okay, so what I've done is normal baking tray. I've printed out a stencil. I have mentioned to you guys to print out the stencil, whether it be flowers, butterflies, anything your kids like. You'll put it up on your tray first, a sheet of baking paper, and then that's what it should look like.
So guys, if you're not that brave and ambitious with the stencil that Chef Nadia's used, you can just do any pattern with daisies or flowers, any pattern, right? It can be squiggles and lines, as long as it's something exciting for the kids to look at and for you to wow your guests.
Okay, so what I've done already, I've mixed some green, brown, and red. Okay, so I'll be doing a cherry blossom tree just to go with our spring theme. So what you should do is take about 60 to 80 mils of your batter. You can split it into 3 or whatever amount of colors you would like to do on your Swiss roll. So, and then each color should be baked separately. So I'll just do...
Okay. Just remember, guys, that the stencil is going to stick to your paper if you don't use grease-proof paper. So to help us along, we're going to butter the paper slightly. Okay. This is where you can relieve all the stress. Takes time to make little patterns. That's why I say if you're not as ambitious with the piping, then just do your simple patterns. Okay. So we've used food coloring to color your batter, chef.
Yes.
So what is the best, the liquid one or the powdered one, or what's the difference?
Okay, so we normally use powder instead of liquid. If you use liquid, it will change your consistency of your batter. So it will be a lot more runnier than usual, and you need a nice stiff batter in order for your pattern, I'm not sure if you can see, in order for your pattern to stabilize and not run around while piping. So we'll do a first bake, about 30 seconds. We'll just pop this into the oven quickly.
Yeah. So you want your batter not to be too dry when it comes out of the oven. Otherwise, it won't stick to your second amount of batter. Okay. What I'm going to do while that is baking, I'm going to show you how to line an ordinary pan, right? So you just need a sheet of parchment paper. And you want to line it so that your side, there's not too much on the side, but something that you can pull off when the cake batter is in. Okay. So I'm going to use half of our mixture that I used that's earlier, and then the other half I'll reserve for Chef Nadia to use for her pattern.
Okay. Do you mind just checking my...
Sure. You did say a couple of seconds.
A couple of seconds. You don't want to overbake it because you still need the batter to be sticky. So that it sticks to the rest of the mixture.
Oh. Sorry.
Basically, you can see the little dots stable, bake for a little bit, but still sticky to the touch. So I'll use red for my flowers.
So if you were to do a minion pattern, remember the colors are black, yellow, blue. So you'll do your blue, then you'll do your black, then you'll do your yellow over that there, and you should get a three-dimensional pattern from there. This is a loose pattern, but we want to use various colors just to show off how to print on a Swiss roll. Okay.
It's best to use piping bags. Disposable ones are easy to find from your baking shops. If you do not have a piping bag, normal Ziploc bags can work as well. So you'll put it in your Ziploc bag, seal it, and just cut the tip off. Make sure to not cut a big tip off. So mine is fairly small. You won't be able to see. So when you do pipe, you can do the delicate work.
Okay. So while Chef Nadia is piping there, remember I played with the flavors of the Swiss roll. So mine was cardamom and rosewater infused Swiss roll. Then with the cream recipe that Chef Nadia gave you, she said there any fruits and things. So I still wanted to play with those nice Asian flavors. So what I did was I got some lychee and some chili, and I made a lychee and chili sugar syrup. And that I folded into my cream just to get that nice overall flavor. And then I've made a coriander ice cream. I'm going to ask Bernard to post the recipe at a later stage. But the coriander ice cream then just finishes off your dish, right? So it's your normal creme anglaise or custard, like we speak in English, right? And then we just then blended in some coriander infused with cinnamon stick and star anise, just to pick up that nice flavor.
Okay, so now I'm going to go in for a second bake. I've already got this shit. Once again, 20 to 30 seconds, just so that it sets, and then you can do your third layer, which I'll do in a few minutes. In the meantime, while you're waiting for that, I hope you guys have all whipped up your cream already, like I said in the recipe, and then just refrigerate, and then we'll add some fruit filling to it.
Okay. Okay. I'm just checking there. We will type out some recipes for you of the self-raising flour. Okay. Okay. So Chef Nadia's got a couple of fruits here that she likes. We've got some blueberries, And then we've got some strawberries, and it's as easy as, again, that folding technique, right? So generous amount of strawberry, and then some blueberry. What I did with mine, I took the lychee that I had in the syrup and I cut that up, right? And then I add a couple of chili flakes as well to my cream, just to lift that flavor slightly.
Okay, so you'll see dots are all stable. I'm going to go with my final color just to get the bark of the tree. Like Chef Donovan said, you don't really have to do the delicate work that we're doing. Most people would go for line stripes. You can do a rainbow Swiss roll. So you can split your color into 7, layer them, and then bake them off in layers. You can add glitter to your first pipe so that you have nice sparkly patterns on your Swiss roll.
I'm actually going to add glitter to my sugar later to give that show off feeling. Okay. So our final color is going in. Okay. I've just got a question from Colleen. How long can you keep the batter before baking while you're trying to decorate? So earlier on, we trial things and we had a pre-bake. This was the result earlier. So that's your completed Swiss roll. All right. While I was making my ice cream, the batter was actually sitting. And it baked quite fine. So I would say it can stand up to about a half an hour, but just check, don't keep it too long. Otherwise the sugar will separate from your egg again and sink to the bottom. But all you can do is just fold it back in again. It should be stable enough. Okay.
Remember, the more times you actually fold, the less fluffier your Swiss roll will be. So try and use it immediately as well. Okay, so we've done our colors. And we move the stencil.
Okay. So I'm just going to fold in that loose bits at the bottom of the bowl. Just to make sure all the flour and everything's incorporated before baking.
And this recipe literally takes you about half an hour to prepare and to bake. I think the longest step would be the cooling down.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start pouring my batter from the one corner just to make sure that I've got an even layer. All right. Want to go thinner, Chef Nadia?
Yes.
Okay. And pouring from the one side there makes it easier for your batter to spread, or for you to spread your batter.
You want to go for a nice thin layer, because remember you will be rolling up your Swiss roll, so the thicker it is, it would crack because we've tried it. So we had a cracked Swiss roll and we had a perfect Swiss roll, and we just went on consistency. So a nice thin layer would give you a great Swiss roll.
Okay. And also depends on if you're a cake person or a filling person, right? Some people like to go for the icing. Some people like to go for the actual cake. So the thicker you make it, the more cake you'll have, and the less filling you can then add. Okay. Okay, I think that's fine.
Should be enough.
Don't worry about the corners, guys. If your paper folds and all that, we are going to trim just for finishing, right? So don't worry that it folds slightly on the corners there. Before we actually roll the Swiss roll, we're going to trim those edges. And that bakes for about 12 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
12 to 15 minutes, obviously depending on the type of oven you have. Some ovens have one starches, cake tester would be perfect, or a toothpick just to poke it. If it comes out clean, you know your cake is done.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to do the sugar tray. So all you have to do, line again with parchment paper. When we sugar a Swiss roll, a standard Swiss roll, when it comes out of the oven, your parchment paper would be at the bottom naturally, right? So you'll have your sugared surface, and then as the cake comes out, you're going to put the baked side onto the sugar. Because you have printed and you want to show your print on the other side, we're going to have to do it unmolding the paper and then flipping it again onto the sugar. Right?
Chef, how important is it to roll your Swiss roll when it comes out the oven?
Okay, this is the important step. If you're going to keep your Swiss roll until it's completely cooled, then you're going to get cracks, right? You need to roll it sort of almost immediately, but let it cool down slightly. Sheffy, do you want some color in your life?
Yes, please. Let's add some
Okay.
glitter.
So I've got some edible rose gold glitter, right, that I'm going to sprinkle in my sugar. Shiny, shiny. I'm just going to mix it up a little bit just to take the rough edges away of the color. Okay. Nice party trick as well. If you want to rim your glasses for margarita or any other drink, take your champagne glass, press it onto a piece of lemon, let it dry slightly, and then dip it into the gold dusted sugar. Then you've got a nice rim on your glasses. Right? So edible glitter. And then it's a trick of ours here at Capsicum. When we bake cookies for the guests, we put glitter on them so we can see if the students have stolen any of them, because there'll always be glitter around,
around the
face.
faces.
Right. Okay. We're just going to wait for that to bake. While that's baking, we'll take some questions.
They've been very quiet today compared to the other classes. I think they were focusing on their whisking, rolling, listening. While we wait, Chef, would you like to do a dim with your Swiss roll that you made earlier on plating?
On plating? Okay. So I'll ask one of my students just to get my ice cream for me. Thank you. Right there. So basically, I've got my completed Swiss roll. And what I did was I just sliced it through with a knife and then left 3 slices to show the filling on the inside. Right. And then when we're plating, guys, we need to add the flavors that we've actually used in the actual dish. So we're not going to put anything in there that's not part of the ingredients. For today, because we're doing a dim on sort of almost like a photography dim, I'm going to add a bit of the coriander on the side there because I've got a coriander ice cream, right? And then some chili. Thank you. So that's my ice cream I made earlier. And it took roughly about an hour and a half to set. And this is a no churn ice cream, guys. Just remember, when you're making ice cream, the less amount of sugar, the quicker it will set. But then you will use a full cream instead of a cream and milk mixture for your custard. So I will just put there, just a scoop of ice cream. And just for that little bit of cheer,
we like glitter at Capsicum.
Yeah. Right. And then I would maybe add some chili and then extra cream on the side there as well. So that's a nice presentation for impressing your guests. Right? Okay. Good indicator for when you want to know if Swiss roll is ready. You will get the distinct smell of cooked eggs, right? And that to me is an indicator that something has now reached its baking point. I'm going to just double check on the oven. Looks like it's a nice brown. Yep. And remember that you can also color, you can color your Swiss roll as well, eh? We've decided not to add a color to this one here. Okay. So let me move this out of the way. I've got some light. Rolling sugar or dusting sugar is the same as caster sugar, yes. Or crumbing sugar as well, they call it. Okay. So usually you'll take this paper because it's on parchment there, it's easy to transfer onto the sugar. I'm going to wait for it to cool slightly before I remove the paper. All right, just want to open up the edges there. Can I get it on the table? I need just a pan away. Okay, I want to get this on the table. Okay, there we go. Transferring straight to the table so I can already cut my edges. Trimming the edges gives you a nice finish, nice and neat finish, and also helps you to get it off the paper.
So this is the color that your Swiss roll should always come out. Or if you're going to add chocolate or any other color into it, then it should be a nice pale chocolate color or pale pink, like Chef Donovan's Swiss roll that he made earlier on. He used a really bright pink, and it came out nice and pale.
All the spoils, the edges there, your visitors. Is the chef's treat, yes. That's if you're not making a baker's dozen. This is chef's lunch. Okay, we're gonna go for it.
Go for it. Let's go for it.
I'm gonna clean this out. The other pan, please.
Yeah.
The plain one. Okay, I'm just gonna flip it into the plain pan so I can reveal the pattern on the other side. See, the paper helps a lot.
Okay, so this is a delicate stage. You want to pull off your paper really slowly so that you don't remove your pattern or any of the cake.
Usually us non-bakers, I've got very little patience.
Yes.
So at this stage, we should not be in a rush. Best to do it while the paper is hot, because then you can get it off quite easily. I cut through the paper there, Chef Nadia.
That helps as well.
Okay. And here it goes, guys.
Like we said, it's a delicate process. Take your time. You don't want to break your Swiss roll. And you want to make sure that your pattern is stable. Like unboxing a gift on Christmas Day. That's how we feel if we are successful with.
And then we go, yay, it works. Go. Just prying the paper away with the help of my palette knife.
So red hot chili peppers, your oven, or for those of you that missed it, your oven temperature will be 220 degrees preheated, and it will stay at that temperature for every bake that you do.
Yeah, just remember that tip we gave you earlier. Biscuits and quick bakes, like Swiss roll there, high temperature. So 220, in the range of 200 to 220, your oven should be so that it can bake immediately. I'm just going to trim that as well. Sticking. Sorry, I'm so quiet, guys. I'm concentrating on this paper. Here we go. The last bit. Almost there. How are you guys doing?
I think they are succeeding because there's nothing coming through.
So we want to see those patterns when you guys are done. Okay. I've got a bit of a breakage situation, but remember that trimming? That will help.
Thank you.
So let me just trim that before I reveal the actual picture.
So you want your cake to be between 2 to 4 centimeters in height so that when you roll it, it will still maintain its shape.
More for the chef. So let me show you Chef Nadia's picture before we complete. So you should have a good pattern on there. Right.
And remember to always bake it. When you do bake it, make sure it's sticky to the touch. If you over bake, it will not stick to the batter when you put the rest of the mix over to bake.
Here's the scary part.
Yes.
I need to flip this onto the sugar, right? Lucky for me, I've got 2 pans. And this is a quick work, right? So I'm supporting the cake with both hands. Yeah. And I'm basically just going to flip. That's all the eggy bits. Okay.
Yes, Zoe, you can use spray and cook to put on the paper, or you can put melted butter onto your paper as well.
Okay. So here's a little trick, guys. The cake needs to cool for about 10 minutes for you to put the cream in. But if it cools too much, your cake might break. So a little tip here, use the paper and start rolling your cake while it is warm.
So, Rochelle, the rose water we added to our cream mix, or you can add it to your batter. It's your choice, some flavors, what you'd like to add or not. It's an option. You don't always have to add it to your Swiss roll. It just incorporates with the nice spice flavors that Chef Donovan had in his Swiss roll. Ours is more of a fruity flavored Swiss roll, so optional.
So I will just keep it wrapped in that paper there, just enough for it to cool so that we don't let the cream seep out. Remember that cream melts. So if your cake is too hot there, you might fill it and it might be yay thick. And by the time you want to dish it up, then it's like all gone. So that's the heat, right? So I'm going to let that cool down while you guys continue taking your papers off your prints. And remember, we want to see some pictures.
Yes, please. Please share your pictures with us.
Okay. So that can go to the side there. So guys, you didn't spend a lot of time with us, but can you see how quick and easy it is to make your own Swiss roll? And it's not an old boring Swiss roll. It is a Swiss roll that you added your own flavors. And that is what I wanted to answer with the rose water, all right? It is entirely up to you what flavors you want to put in there. I just happen to like the more Asian flavors and just to add to my meal, all right? I've decided on those flavors because those are the flavors that I like. Chef Nadia has gone for a Japanese tree. She likes all the fruitier apple sort of flavors. So the apple, the cherry blossom and things like that is what you can add to the Swiss roll, just to go along with the pattern.
If you wanted, you could even add some chopped coriander to your cream and berry mix. That will just add another type of flavor. So it's experimental. try different flavors. You can do it once a week and see what you come up with.
I don't know if you guys can see. I'm going to try and bring it closer without letting it drop. All right. So you can see the nice pattern that's developed there on the outside. Just remember that your pattern has to be on the outside if you're doing a pattern Swiss roll. Okay. So I think that's actually cooled quite fast, yeah? Then you can unroll your Swiss roll because remember it's got that give now. So it won't break, right? That's why we want to cool just for 10 minutes. Okay. And then Chef Nadia, you're gonna do the creaming, the filling?
Yes, I'll do that.
Okay. What is important about filling? Can I just fill like the whole thing and let it just like seep out?
No. You want a nice balance between cake and filling. So you need to put a nice thin layer. When I do it again, you'll see what I'm talking about. You don't want too full. Okay, you need to spread it evenly.
And you don't want to go right up until the edges because remember you trimmed now before, right? There's no problem trimming after, but it just it's a bit sloppy, right? So spread it until you get close to the edge because remember with rolling, you are still going to squeeze some of that filling out.
It's like making a pizza. So when you put your tomato sauce, you don't go all the way to the edge. You just want that border to put your filling in. Exactly the same concept.
That looks nice and colorful, guys. Can't wait. So the Swiss roll, when we made the egg mixture, usually it will taste slightly eggy if it's overbaked, right? But what the sugar on the outside helps do is the Swiss roll is actually not that sweet. So the sugar there adds that sugar that you need in the actual cake.
I won't go all the way to the bottom. Okay, so you want to have a nice balance of cream and fruit all over the Swiss roll. You don't want fruit just in the middle or just on the side. So when you do your cream mix, make sure that you incorporate everything into the cream.
Okay, so now I'm ready to roll. Right. Because it's been rolled previously, I can now just go ahead and roll with my hands. And you want to do a nice light roll, not to get that filling out. And then I can plate, I think.
Yes, sure.
Yep. Okay.
Use the slate.
Okay. So Chef Nadia is giving me a nice black plate, a nice white plate, a nice black plate that always works. If you want to show something off, remember we're showing off on Sunday. Right.
Rochelle wanted to know about the pattern. So Rochelle, you can print any pattern off the internet, and your mix that you've made for your actual Swiss roll, you can then take about a cup, depending on how many Swiss rolls you're making. I use about 80 mils of my mixture, and I just split it up into 3, and I colored each one, and then I just sparked it out. So the recipe is your actual Swiss roll recipe that you're using for your pattern.
Okay. So let me just clean that off. Yes, it will. The spray and cook does help loosen the paper quite a bit. So spray and cook works, yes. Just remember, don't over grease the paper because then you're going to play too much with the batter, right? The consistency of the batter at the end. So guys, I'm sure you guys have enjoyed the class. That is your basic Swiss roll with nice fruit filling and a pattern. So kiddies' birthday parties, rainbow cakes, unicorn cakes. You guys have got no excuse now. I think we did it under an hour. Huh? So you guys will be able to do this under an hour just in time for you to watch that movie on Sunday.
Yes.
Right?
Then I've got a question, Brenda. So yes, we did add the fruit to the cream. What we did is, like I said in the recipe, you whip up your cream, refrigerate it. We used about 40 grams of strawberries and about 20 grams of blackberries. And we just cut it up and we folded it into our cream. And then you can fold your Swiss roll.
And like I said, with my lychee mixture, I actually made a lychee syrup. And then what I poached, the lychees that I poached there, I actually cut up. And I cut up a bit of chili. And I also just folded that with the little syrup in the cream. then making the cream also slightly on the sweet side because your lychee is quite sour.
But you don't know, only have to add fruit. You can add chocolate bits, Smarties, what else? Popping candy.
I would say anything. If you're a breakfast fan, I'll put Rice Krispies in.
Yes.
Right?
Cocoa Pops.
Cocoa Pops, anything.
Anything that you prefer and like, and not the one that you get in the shop, and it just gives you one option.
Yeah. And all these fresh ingredients there, available at Checkers. We shopped at Newton Park Checkers. Thank you very much, Johan and team, for helping us out with these beautiful ingredients, nice, colorful ingredients.
Okay. Seems like we have no more questions. So guys, please send us your pics. We're looking forward. Chef Donovan and myself will check your pictures out on Facebook or Instagram. We'll ask the Herald team to send us some pictures if they've received anything, and we'll give you feedback as well. 1 to 5 star ratings.
And don't forget to ask about recipes there. We are quite glad to share our recipes. Look forward to the next masterclass, and you guys are gonna go Chef Nadia Asian inspired. We'll be doing some dim sum, which is Asian dumplings, sushi, Asian broth, nice heartwarming food.
Yeah, as well as dumplings.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. Bye guys.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.